Good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
How is everybody?
Oh, it has been a very interesting a couple miracles, a lot,
Mm-hmm.
couple weeks.
Wow.
So, um, we'll start with the tragedies. Not tragedies, miracles, like you could call them. So, the Hope Collection went on their cruise a couple weeks ago. I didn't go. And so the president of the Hope Collection, who founds the radio show program, in the middle of the cruise, had a stroke.
Hmm.
He thought he just swallowed something wrong and hurt his throat because it really only affected his throat.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just extremely tired. Didn't seek medical help, just slept on the cruise. Got home. Calls me and I'm listening to him talk and how he's so slow and slurring. And I'm like, either it's a stroke or it's blood sugar. Something's wrong here.
Yep.
Makes appointments with his doctor. So it took about a week to go see the doctor.
Yeah.
Goes sees the doctor. They rush him to the hospital right away because he just goes to a clinic. And he had a brainstem stroke.
Mm.
All the problems he's dealing with are all temporary.
Hmm.
And the last time he's already had a stroke like this before in the same area,
Mm-hmm.
and it almost killed him. And then, so he's doing better. He's got a month of recovery before they start all the physical therapies, all the treatments that they're going to do. And his main artery to his heart is 75% blocked, which was what caused the stroke.
Hmm.
So he could have had a heart attack on top of a stroke. Thursday, Captain Len Kane ended up in a car accident. And he gets hit from behind and pushed in front, into another car. He literally just hairline fractured his sternum. And I'm saying only because he's a 90-year-old man who could have ended up with a lot worse damage.
Yeah. Mm.
And the only reason he got hurt is because that's what his chest is what hit the steering wheel.
Yeah. If you wouldn't hit the steering wheel, you'd been fine.
Mm-hmm.
A little shaken up, probably, but
But no whiplash, no nothing. Literally just pain in his chest.
wow. Hmm.
So how about you?
It was I marched in the Memorial Day parade with the American Legion one Monday, and my son actually joined us. So I was fortunate for that, and uh, this weekend I'm taking my grandson up to Reading to see a gathering of warbirds, World War II warbirds, P-51, P-38s, B-24s, B-17s, B-29s, and we're going up there, and we ran into a Marine who does reenacting up there,
Mm-hmm.
and he saw my grandson's shirt had Robert Allen Owens on it, and he was he inquired about it, and we gave him the lowdown on Robert, and here he wants to dedicate this weekend his unit. He's gonna talk it over with his commanding officer, and he wants to dedicate the weekend to Robert. So I'm going up on Saturday, and I'm gonna take the Medal of Honor with me and show it to him, and I'm gonna present him with a book that was written by Robert's commanding officer at the time. Uh, Monks, I think his last name was Monks, and it describes in detail what Robert did and how he died.
Oh, awesome.
So yeah, and it's Third Marine, so I thought he'd like that.
Hmm.
So we're doing that this weekend. I was just getting ready, uh, getting some more information, and printing it off and stuff. And I gotta take it to Staples and make copies. But other than that, that's about it. Did so you didn't go on the cruise, eh?
I did not. We had too much going on here with the kids
Mm-hmm.
and so many different improvements. We're gonna go out to Buffalo for 9/11 this year
Nice.
and be a part of the Patriots Park celebration or honors of 9/11. And my kids will get firsthand education on what exactly happened 9/11
Mm-hmm.
because they're not taught that. And then next Memorial Day weekend, keep your calendar open. And your grandson's gonna love this. So once again, we're partnering with the Naval Park. And so we are going to be hosting a weekend long, if not more, events leading up to Memorial Day to raise money for different organizations. But also, we're incorporating the autistic and neurodiverse community and bringing in more kids to help put flags out. But they also get to do things like tour the different battleships that are out there, the submarine that's out there, and hear the stories.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coordinating with it to hopefully the kids will get to spend the night on one of the battleships.
Oh yeah, they'd love that. As a matter of fact, uh, the museums usually do that. Whenever we went down to Alabama with the Owens reunion, shipmates reunion, not the family reunion, but shipmates. Um, we were given run of the ship. I mean, we go wherever we wanted to, and
Mhm.
I was down below deck, and they had a couple of sleeping quarters marked, for these sleeping quarters are for like Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whoever wants to um, get a history lesson or stay on board for the weekend or something.
Yep.
That's where they'd stay. So yeah, they do that.
They do it. It's just to fit into the timeline and it's all volunteers.
Mm-hmm.
So usually they'll do it during certain days and they tend to not do things during Memorial weekend. So
Right.
it's just seeing if they want to volunteer to do it. And
Well, whenever I was with the Naval Sea Cadets up in Reading. Um, I took them down to Baltimore to the aquarium, but there was a Coast Guard cutter that was there. It was the only surviving Coast Guard ship from Pearl Harbor, the Tanny.
Mhm.
And we didn't ask, but they asked us. They said, "Would you be? Would you like to stay on board a weekend and man the quarterdeck?" We said, "Oh yeah."
For me, that was seeing the Sullivan Ship.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which um, I grew up with the story. I grew up with the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so me getting to see the Sullivan Ship and what was really cool for me, which embarrassed my kids. So people meet celebrities, they're like awestruck, right? Yeah, they're just people. I don't really care. Me meeting military members that have like this people who knew the Sullivans or
Mm-hmm.
done, been during these battles are like my celebrities.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to meet some of the survivors of the Sullivan Ship that are still alive and get to hear the stories that I grew up learning from my family because I had family at Pearl Harbor. And my kids are like, Mom, it's just another story of a bunch of things that happened a long time ago. I'm like, okay, go with dad. Mom wants to hear it, so go away.
You know where their marker is?
No.
It's in Manila.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's where Robert's buried too. They have a big granite. I guess it was granite um, marker, and it had the um, Sullivan's names.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't want to say circled, but they were highlighted, brought out,
Right.
and which was really neat. But yeah, they're in Manila, and Robert's in Manila. So yeah, that's. And it said the uh, the cemetery is pretty quiet now since the families don't come, and the the families are passing on, so hardly anybody goes anymore.
Well, and that's the sad part because,
It
it
is.
used to be kids would go on field trips to these places
Mm-hmm.
and you would learn about it. And we're not doing that anymore. We're not teaching our kids the stuff anymore.
No, but it's up to us old timers to keep it up. As a matter of fact, I got a funny story to tell you. My son took me down to Maryland to an antique car show. A friend of his was having to raise money for church playground equipment. And we get down there and we get out and they say, "Oh, there goes your friend." So he goes over and was talking to him, and I come up and couple minutes later because I'm out looking at the cars, and his friend looked at me and said, "Well, you came to the right place." I said, "Why is that?" He said, "Antique cars, antique you." Thanks. I am an antique.
That's pretty good. I haven't thought of that one.
Well, you gotta watch us antiques. We
You
can
know, I
fool
was
you.
watching an interesting show, the Donner Party last night.
Yeah.
And one, there's still descendants of the Donner Party still alive today. And how the media and how society like made them into villains. And how this new generation is now looking at it differently as a survival story and really reigniting it.
Hmm.
You know, when you hear Donner, all you think about is cannibalism.
Mm-hmm.
But when they actually broke it down and looked at the journals and the families didn't really talk about it till the end, you know. But all the stuff they found at the areas and stuff showed how they literally were strung by bad luck. It wasn't just something they didn't do something stupid, and they did what they had to do to survive.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And it was the last resort. But it was really interesting. I was in a big History Channel kick last night. Coming up, is the 250th anniversary of our country, and
Mm-hmm.
remembering all this stuff that we don't talk about and celebrate anymore. It's like watch the thing on Grant, and I didn't think about this and didn't realize this, but all of our great generals from the Civil War all came from West Point.
Yeah.
They all learned together. They were all friends in school.
Yeah.
And you wonder why the war was fought so long, because they were all strategically matched.
Yeah.
It's like we don't think about things like that they all trained. And Grant didn't even want to join the military. His dad made him.
Mm-hmm. Now you do know Grant and Longstreet were related
Hmm.
through marriage, but it really was brother against brother, and it basically they pretty much they were all Masons,
Yeah.
so it was a brotherhood.
You know, the other part I didn't realize, we are so down on the South, right?
I'm not.
Well, no, but about, the Civil War and,
mm,
especially the Northerners are like, the South is like second class. But to look at how long they survived the Civil War, being cut off from like everything.
mm-hmm,
There were only a few things being made in the South, and corn was one of the few foods that was actually produced in the South that was edible.
mm-hmm.
All manufacturing was done in the North.
Yep.
All the imports for living came from the North. So for them to stick to their guns and fight as long as they did and survive, it's kind of cool.
Well, what amazes me is where did they get all these people? I mean, there was 170,000 troops from Confederate plus the uh, Union that met at Gettysburg. I
Mhm.
mean, it was only a town of 2,000, and all of a sudden 170,000 men show up. You know, what do they eat?
That's it.
And the crazy part about it was in Gettysburg, at night, around some of the places, especially right downtown, Confederates were in the backyard of one house, but across the street the Union was.
Yeah.
You know, so it's crazy. It was crazy.
The coolest thing that I saw and watched about Grant was that, but he had this own innate ability to actually vision in his head the battlefield. And he was such a strategic thought person that he
Hmm.
could take soldiers that just were wandering around and put them in places and keep troops going
Hmm.
when they don't have the radios, the technology. War back then, to me is the coolest thing that one, it lasted as long as it did. It succeeded the way it did because the weapons weren't that accurate. Most of the people didn't know how to shoot like that. And you don't have the communication. You don't have the radios and stuff to know where all your troops are. And, you had guys running back and forth.
Hmm. Good lines of communication interior.
Yeah. But look at how long it took you to move your little butt from one end of the field to another.
Yeah, especially around the hills.
You were, and that's not saying how long were you marching before that, and how long did it take you walk to get to that field to turn around and run all the way back again. No, sometimes it's days. So,
Yeah.
information wasn't always the most accurate.
Yep. I mean, the First Corps marched from Town all the way into Gettysburg and ran right uh, into the battle. So they pushed the Confederates back, and then the Confederates did a counterattack and pushed everybody back to Cemetery Hill, back through the town. But there was a lot of mistakes done. But everybody, what I always like to think about is everybody has their high water mark. I mean, the Confederacy, Gettysburg was their high water mark. They didn't invade the North again. But if we do something like that, or if we do something in our own life that we work and we try and it just doesn't work, we just had our high water mark. That's the way I look at it. Still there? Anybody? Okay.
So I
Oh,
had to
there
grab a
you
sip
are.
of water. So, of course, because of the Canadian wildfires, our air quality here is so bad. They're telling us don't even open your windows.
Yeah, they said something about us. We get some of that smoke from down here, all the way over here.
Yeah,
What's
something to
with
do with
all these
ozone being
wildfires
low or
anyway?
something like that.
Huh?
Something to do with the ozone being high or low, or yeah, you're under warnings too.
I don't know. They blame it on the ozone, but I don't think that's it.
Well, what they mean by the ozone is how thick the air is so that it doesn't move. Like when it's really muggy out and you can't breathe, you shoot a firework off and you can smell it for ever. Light a cigarette,
Days.
you can smell it. Reason why you're not allowed to smoke on the battlefield?
Okay.
Give your location away?
Yeah.
But I don't know, just looking at some of these old wars and battles and how we won is just insane.
Yeah. Take a look at the McClellan saddle. I wouldn't want to ride that all day.
No.
Oh my gosh. Talk. It's amazing they didn't have chapped inner thighs. Maybe they did. I don't know. Boy.
Oh, and like now you wear padded pants or special pants designed for stuff like that.
Yeah, but not back then.
No. Well, that's why you had a walk, a special walk. You knew how, you know, if you were a horse person by the way you walked.
Yeah, bow legged.
Mm-hmm. The Clint Eastwood walk or the John Wayne walk.
Mm-hmm. Ain't that the truth? No, I was when you were talking about Civil War and everything. It just amazes me how they got so many men on both sides to volunteer because in 3 day battle at Gettysburg, okay, the there was 58,000 men killed at Gettysburg in 3 days. We lost that many in 10 years in Vietnam, and everybody was up in arms about that.
Yeah.
So, what the hey? And then Clara Barton started the Red Cross nursing uh, thing. Gettysburg was just turned into nothing but a hospital town. I mean, every building, every barn was nothing but a hospital, and that was it's amazing. I walked through the. I love to go to the cyclorama because it shows the painting and the pictures, and uh, I just really enjoy it. And I was there explaining something uh, to some friends of ours, and there was a group of people behind me. They said, "Do you give tours?"
Mm-hmm. I didn't know this. This is kind of cool. Did you know that during, especially the Gettysburg, that local communities form their own regiments?
Yeah.
Sometimes entire towns join the same unit.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of people enlisted just to avoid the risk of being labeled a coward.
Yeah.
And you always got the romance of war, the ideology.
Yeah.
you know, I really think like this generation, this time period is the first time we don't have that. The kids of the 90s played with GI Joes, the 80s GI Joes. Hell,
Yeah.
every generation up until now had GI Joes.
Mm-hmm.
You had the war movies, people like John Wayne, but we all played war
Mm-hmm.
with sticks and things like that. Cap guns.
Or cowboys and Indians.
Yes. And it's like this generation doesn't. I mean, my kids do, but
I saw a thing on Facebook. I had to laugh. I had to laugh. It was an older guy talking to a younger person. I guess he was in his 20s or so. And he said, "Yeah, back in my day, we had Wonder Woman. Now you have to wonder if they are a woman."
yeah, that's it. We were actually watching the original Wonder Woman the other day with Linda Carter.
Oh yeah, I love that.
I grew up wanting to be Wonder Woman. I had the outfit.
It's crazy.
But really, when you look at, actual role models or, people like that, we grew up with, these kids don't really have that.
Huh. And they say, the cartoons were too violent. Bugs
I mean,
Bunny was too violent. Yosemite Sam always pulling out his six guns. Or the Roadrunner was violent because the coyote kept getting crushed or falling off the cliff or something, And I grew up with that.
yeah,
So we're fine. I'm fine.
we're not psychopaths. We've been tested.
That's right. Well, some of us.
If you
Now,
served, you were tested.
yeah, let me read you this. Uh, Bugs Bunny is saying, it's crazy to think years ago, 16-year-olds had the balls to fight in World War II. But today, 16-year-olds cry about having balls.
Yeah. That's the insane thing. You know, um, there was a story about parents. There was a 10-year-old and a 7-year-old, and they were crossing the street by themselves.
Hmm.
The 7-year-old got hit by a car, ended up passing away. The driver didn't get charged. The parents got charged for not creating a safe environment and being there for with them to cross the street.
Were they? Oh, jeez.
I'm thinking back. I was 5 running around town by myself. I was not allowed to cross one street because it was a highway. My daughter's 9 years old. She runs around the back part of our town on her bike all the time.
Yeah.
Accidents happen. And it's sad what happened to the child, but why are the parents getting punished when the kid might have been responsible and knew how to cross the street? I mean, my son, I won't let him go by himself because he's not responsible. He's not there yet. My
Hmm.
daughter is, though. It's like we are creating this bubble around these kids now. to the point that there is no 16-year-old I would ever trust right now to watch my kids. And I was babysitting when I was 12.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma tells me stories. She was 6 babysitting neighborhood kids. That was during the war.
Yeah.
It's like every generation, they don't mature until they have to. They're so coddled in life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary because we allow 16-year-olds to drive a car.
Yeah. No, that's scary.
And the more I started, looking into these different things, and I started looking at the world of autistic children, it became a double standard of these kids that are from a very young age are taught to be an adult. They're not allowed to play. They're not allowed to do a lot of things because they're different. And I started really, and I know I'm going to get some slack about this one, but a autistic child is parallel, and the way their brains are developed and the what world they live in is very similar to a soldier's.
Mm-hmm.
And before you all send me hate mail, let me explain. Okay, just because I know y'all, someone's gonna get mad about this. So, a veteran experience trained to follow orders, suppress emotions, adapt to high stress environments. Okay, an autistic child is taught to comply, mask behaviors, conform to social norms, often at the cost of their emotional well being.
Mm-hmm.
A veteran lives or a soldier lives in sensory intense, chaotic environments, combat zone, your barracks, drills. You live in that world on purpose. And it is the whole point of like boot camp and drills are to overload your system, create a shutdown, to deal
And a
with
very good
combat.
job they do.
They used to, you
Yeah, I'm
know,
sure.
an autistic child's brain is born that way. There's with sensory overloads, they navigate loud classrooms, unpredictable routines, bright lights, and sensory overload daily. It is their way of life. Veterans and soldiers often return home with PTSD, hypervigilance, dysregulation due to prolonged stress and trauma. Autistic children frequently live in a state of sensory or emotional dysregulation, often misunderstood as bad behavior
Mm-hmm.
because they're non compliant. We're expected as a soldier or a veteran to just reintegrate. We get very little, if any, transitional support. These children are expected to just behave,
Yeah.
to
Ain't
fit in,
happening.
and they're not given accommodations or understanding, even though children are little shits and psychopaths and monsters. But because they have a label, and all kids are, I hate to tell you this, but all kids are psychopaths and monsters.
Yes,
That's
they
the one
are.
God given right to a child. But these kids aren't. They're expected to behave. It's like an
Mm.
ADHD kid. You put him in the front of the classroom because you know he's going to screw up. He's going to grab the teacher's attention. He's going to do something stupid, not even stupid. He's just going to move or say something or twitch. She's going to yell at him, even though the normal kid behind him did the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's that double standard. You know, we often hide struggles. We feel pressure to appear strong and normal. These kids are taught to mask, eye contact, smiling, scripting. They bury it and suck it up. Soldiers, we struggle with identity loss without the uniform. Who are we?
Yep.
These kids are never allowed to figure that out because they're taught they can't be themselves.
Well, you heard the old saying, "Act your age."
Hmm. That
I
should
heard
only be said to a man. I mean, that population, adults.
it. I heard a parent tell their kid that one time. I kind of walked over to him. I said, I heard you say act your age. I said, do you want them to act their age or you want them to act your age?
Yes. I
They
enjoy
didn't like that too much. They didn't appreciate it, but
no,
I said it anyway.
I enjoy the sarcasm and the smart things that come out of my kids. Did I tell you about the April Fool's Day prank my son did?
No.
Okay, so I forgot it was April Fool's Day. And so he went and got his Play Doh. He rolled it out as a snake and he was playing with it on the floor. Then he goes outside. I'm not thinking anything of it. He rolled it out as a snake, takes it outside, throws it in the mud, wraps it in his shirt, brings it in the house. Holding his stomach tells me his stomach hurts. So I tell him to go to the bathroom. He goes to the bathroom. He comes out with his pants between his legs, bends over and grunts and drops it. Then he starts playing with it. I freak out thinking, "Oh my god, what did I do?" Because it was just came off of, neurodiversity week, and mom has been doing interviews and kind of ignoring him a little bit, so he's acting out, whatever, because he's never done it before.
Mm-hmm.
I go to yell at him, he hits the floor laughing so hard, he's falling over. He's like, "It is not poop, it's Play-Doh. I got you." I
Yeah, he
lost a
got you good.
guard. He did.
Yeah, he got you good on that one.
So I gave him a high five. I'm like, "That was awesome. Good job. You got mom. Something your dad could never do." But it was the first time he's ever taken that type of initiative and thinking to get back at me or mess with me.
Mm.
Well, it was good.
Oh yeah,
But
it
he
was.
is the
I gotta admit that was
that is not I thought of a lot of tricks. That was something I never thought of.
that is awesome.
Mm. You know,
Oh my gosh.
and when he was diagnosed when he was 3 and now he's 9, I was told if I don't do the traditional therapies and force him into compliance that he would be so out of control that now I would have had to have him institutionalized because he wouldn't be safe for himself or others.
Hmm.
And that's the status norm for, what to deal with these kids. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I told the man and when he gave me the diagnosis and then told me that and I looked at the paperwork. I'm like, "Dude, I'm German, I'm Irish, I'm a woman, and I'm ex-military. I dealt with guys bigger than you. You seriously can't threaten me to compliance. And you can't predict what a 3-year-old's gonna be like in 4 years. That's just not possible. Because I'm not gonna take a kid and ship him off for 40 hours a week." I go, "That's just insane." And now he's just a sarcastic little turd. Uh, Saturday, he's into math, and he's into sacred geometry and stuff like that, and he was playing one of his learning games, and I couldn't hear the words that they were saying to help him answer the questions, because he struggles with rhyming and some of the, non-logical things of the English language.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's like, "Well, why does fox, and box, and socks rhyme when socks doesn't spell differently than box?" Like, I don't know. I'm not that smart. It's just English language. It sucks. And so I couldn't hear it. So I was telling him to turn the TV down so I could hear it. He looks at me and goes, just turn up the volume. Just turn it up. And the little shit, he's ended up taking all the top buttons on the keyboard and turned them all into shortcut keys. So, like the volume button, you have to manually go down to the bottom of the computer to turn it up because the volume button is now a different button.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm like, how? He's like, use the button. I'm like, which button? He's like, and he points. He goes, see the speaker? Turn it up. Click on that. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I can't deal with you. Mom needs a break.
So he comes back with more.
He does. There's some days I wish and he's sleeping right now, so I can say it without him hearing it. There's some days I wish he became nonverbal again. Just a day of laryngitis. Because they're smarter than you. That's the
They are.
problem.
I got a phone that's smarter than I am. I got a can holder I'm looking at. It says, "Ooh, the sarcasm is strong with this one."
I'm creating a series of shirts that with my disclaimer on it. My sarcasm is not because they used to say sarcasm is a defense mechanism to protect yourself.
Yeah.
No. My sarcasm, and a lot of us in the military, our sarcasm is not a defense mechanism. It is the only way we can be nice to stupid. We can only be nice to stupid things for so long before we lose it.
Mm-hmm. You're not wrong.
And civilians have this innate ability to come and say the dumbest, most obvious thing when you're already irritated or frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's a great example of that one. It has gotten so bad that my daughter is even coming up with the one-liners of that great job, Captain Obvious. Like I'm washing dishes. You can physically see I'm washing dishes. And he's like, what you doing?
I'm building a rocket.
I'm like, I know what? I just figured I needed to soak my hands today in soapy water. I got nothing else to do than play in bubbles.
I like bubbles.
But this is stuff I struggle with my kids doing it to me. But when your husband does it, it's even worse. It's like they instantly have that radar. They know when you're irritated.
Oh yeah.
So they come to you with the dumbest things just to see how far they can push that irritation level to the next level.
Yeah, talk about taking it to the next level.
Well, it's like, last summer and I was putting the AC in one of those, we have one of those floor units for the AC
Mm-hmm.
that have the thing that hooks to the window. The
Mm-hmm.
damn thing kept falling out of the damn window. So I'm frustrated because this thing doesn't stay in. Tape doesn't work. Duct tape didn't work. So I screwed the damn thing in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have my hand halfway out, the window open. I have my hand in out through the window, holding it with one hand, screwing it in the other. It's like, what you doing? He goes, does it keep falling out? And I'm like, nah. I'm just holding it up for the hell of it because I'm practicing my wall sits. I don't know. Yes, dumb shit. I'm just like, seriously.
Uh,
Or my favorite is when you ask someone to do something
mm-hmm.
and you wait and wait for them to do it. They don't do it, so you do it yourself. Oh, I was just getting to that. I'm like, sure you were. When? My kids are famous for that one. Oh, mom, I'll pick it up.
People at church don't know how to take me. I'm telling you, because they don't know if I'm gonna walk in there with Mad Hatter's hat on, or a regular hat, or what. And I've had people come up to me and say, "What are you doing?" I'll go, "Why? You writing a book?"
You leave the chapter out.
No. And if they say yeah, I say, "Well, kiss me and make it a love story."
That's a good one. Or take a picture when they're staring at you. That is the one thing I don't miss about being in a uniform.
What, pictures?
No, it's the eyes on you. You know, you walk into a gas station, everyone stops to notice you.
Yeah.
You begin to think you have like purple hair or something, which I did at one time, but no. You know, or you three heads or something. It's just everybody notices. It's like a cop walking into somewhere.
Yep. All eyes on the cop.
You feel bad for them guys sometimes. Just everybody notices you.
Hmm. We were eating at a restaurant one time, my son and I, and it was a restaurant that we always liked. And man, there was about five cops that walked in, state police, and my son told the waitress, whatever they ordered, just put it on my bill. So they're sitting there after they're all done and everything. They're waiting for the check, and he calls the waitress over and says, "We're gonna get a bill." And she said, "Don't worry about it. It's already taken care of." And they said, "What? Who?" And she said, "I ain't telling you." But that's what we do.
Yeah.
Um, my son and I were eating breakfast at a different restaurant one time, and we went to pay, and the waitress said, "Don't worry about it. It's already done." I said, "Really?" Well, what can I say?
Yeah. Just thank you.
I like to do it for other people, but I'm the type of person I don't like it done to me. You know what I mean?
It's hard to accept things.
It is. Yes.
You know, that's like when I got sick back at the beginning of the year right after Christmas. You know, the church called me, wanted to know if they could help like clean my house or um make meals for us. I'm like, well, the kids got the house cleaning part down, but you really can't make food for us because the kids all eat things differently. So,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like, how do you say no and be polite at the same time? And I'm still working on that one.
Well, just say if you want to make a meal, make it for me. They can fend for themselves.
They're getting there. They're slowly integrating into actual cooking other than, pizza oven and microwaves.
Hmm.
Slowly. Because my daughter's one of those that she'll make you breakfast, but she'll cook the whole dozen eggs to make scrambled eggs.
No. Do you like them with cheese?
No, I'm lactose intolerant.
No, so am I, but I like it with cheese.
This doesn't do dairy. My daughter does, though. She does cheese by the brick.
I do salt. As a matter of fact, I've been threatened several times that my wife was going to get me a salt lick.
Yeah, your body craves what it craves.
What was that last part?
Said your body craves what it craves for what it needs.
It does. I'll uh, I'll eat a big meal. I mean, I went down to this antique show. They had food trucks there. I walked in, and the first thing that I got was two pieces of pizza. Walked down to the other end, got two roast beef sandwiches. Came back, got a soft pretzel, uh, two pieces of chocolate brownie, four pieces of peanut butter fudge, and then I got a cup of grape nut ice cream. And
You
then
do
my
know you're
son,
not active duty anymore, right?
yeah, then my son and I went and hit the clubs.
Wow.
And you think that's bad? Uh, I had to be home early because my wife told a friend of hers we'd go out to eat with him, and I'd already eaten all that, right? Well,
Mm-hmm.
we went out to eat, and guess what I got?
Another giant plate full of food, probably a big
Mm-hmm.
steak.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. You're right. I got that's exactly what I got. I got a 14-ounce uh, prime rib with a baked potato.
No, my grandma would say is you got a tapeworm.
Yeah, I can eat like that at certain times, but there are other times whenever Gandhi ate more than I did.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
I so sometimes I can eat like that, like crazy, like a horse. Other
mhm,
times I can take two bites and I'm full.
yeah, it just depends. One, the atmosphere you're in
Yeah.
is a big part of it. So it's another year of me fighting with our city, and so my daughter won't be doing the princess pageant for our town community event.
Huh.
And well, their dress code requirement is all girls have to wear princess dresses,
Why?
and because it's a princess pageant.
Well, princesses wear more than just princess costumes. I mean, right?
Right. Well, she doesn't wear dresses like that because the material and the seams and the threading is very uncomfortable for her.
Well, yeah, that's like me. I can't wear wool.
Yeah. A lot of her clothes she wears inside out because of the way they're sewn. But I
Right.
can only
I can understand that.
So yeah, so she won't be attending till I throw a big enough fit. Well, originally the way they had it set up is it wasn't you living in this town, you had to belong to the school district.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so my kid who goes home is, going to a different school because your school doesn't have the services in place that we need for her, which I'm okay with. We're a very small school, 800 kids, K through 12. But now she's being punished on not being allowed to be involved in the community because she doesn't go to school here. So they changed that. Now it's because she's so all the kids that are different aren't allowed to try out for the pageant.
Well, that's discrimination.
Hmm.
What's wrong with them?
Well, the lady that runs the thing used to be my neighbor until we moved, and her daughter is a year younger than mine, and wasn't even allowed to play together because my kid's different.
Oh, for the love of Pete. Discrimination.
Well, mommy's one of those that was popular in high school, and then she got older and got fatter and hasn't like peaked, in high school. And so she still lives that world and now has pushed her daughter into that world. And the only reason she even got married or had kids was because to keep her husband. She's one of them people.
Oh.
You never see her out playing with the kid.
But she tells other people how to raise their kids.
Oh yeah, it was wrong. My kids are up playing with sticks, playing war, and I'm like, okay. And I just go out there and correct them the right way to hide behind something.
Some people.
I'm like, they're all playing war with Nerf guns and squirt guns. What's the big deal?
Yeah. Heck, I used to play war with sticks and stones.
Hmm. Hell, when we were kids, I used to play cowboys and Indians. Well, my brother always wanted to be the cowboy because my uncle was big into John Wayne, so he had to be the cowboy. The difference is that when the cowboy's 5 years younger than the Indians win.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd always take the Indian or the cowboy and tie him to a pole. And then as we got older, we found new ways to torment the cowboy. We'd take sticks and line them up, not near him so he could ever get hurt, but far enough away that, we started on fire. We're burning the cowboy at the stake.
There you go.
But when the cowboy learned to shut his mouth and stop ratting out his sisters for something they didn't even do, maybe we wouldn't be so mean to you.
Maybe.
See, I grew up, you know, where you learned how to just be and play. And if you got punched, you punched him back. You learn to defend yourself.
Right.
He was one of those, he's the baby, one of the only boys in the family, so he became a sissy. And so every time he would pick a fight with bigger kids and expect his older sisters to defend him. And then if we didn't, we got in trouble.
Hmm.
I'm like, no, I'm not going to keep fighting your battles. You want mouth off to a kid 5 years older than you, you're going to get hit. That's common knowledge.
Exactly. Because after a fight, that's usually where your best friends come from.
Yeah.
I told you my story, right?
Yeah.
That was weird. I was
No,
new kid on the block.
no, a similar thing happened to me. I don't even know what I did. Pissed someone off, and she got one punch in because we had the rule in our house. As long as we didn't swing first, we were okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, she had a good one. Ended up with a black eye for it. But after that, she was my bodyguard.
Mm-hmm.
We're still friends. We still talk on social media.
Yeah, talk about stimulating your brain.
Right? I don't use it much. If I didn't have my business and I didn't have the radio, I wouldn't be using social media other than to talk to friends of mine that are overseas.
Well, I'm gonna leave everybody with a one of my quotes. Don't be afraid to stimulate your brain, and don't allow yourself to become bored with life.
That's right.
Everybody like that?
I
I
love
do.
it.
Good.
So join us next week for another episode of Wake Up Reveille.
Yes.
So have a good day, have a good night, and we'll see you back here next week.
Amen to that. You too.
Yepers.
Be good. Have a good week.
You too.
All right.